everyone, I'm MVL and today we're doing another pickup video. Some of my pickups today have come from Games World Bodmin and I like to promote them because they are a local seller. Haven't had much in the way of hardware this month, although I did pick up a Blinking Light Win for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's a replacement loading tray and 72-pin connector. And if you'd like to see more about that, I did a little quick video about that that you can find on the channel. Moving on to the games, and this month I did shamefully pick up a couple of reproductions. And I did this because some games are just so damn expensive, it's ridiculous. I picked up Magical Chase. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'm going to have some gameplay footage and a close-up on that come up. This is a really good shooter. This particular cartridge is for the Game Boy Color, and as you can tell, this doesn't look anything like how it should look. A Game Boy Color cartridge should be see-through. It should be see-through. You should be able to see the green board, and this is clearly not a Game Boy Color. It's not very obvious. I'll have a close-up, but it has the word game written on it at the top instead of Game Boy, and yeah, this isn't fooling anybody, but this was certainly a lot cheaper than the £300 genuine version. It would have been nice to have it for the TurboGrafx. It would have been a bit better graphics, but I'm happy with this. It's good. I can do some Let's Plays with it. That'll be sweet. Another game I picked up, the same reason. This came as a set of 3 actually for the Game Boy Color. Shantae, a very well-known, great platformer for the Game Boy Color. Came out late in the life whilst the Game Boy Advance was already out, and that's why it kind of fell by the wayside. Not many cartridges produced, became quite expensive, unfortunately. Again, this game, a real copy will set you on about £300, and that's probably just for the cartridge, not for the box and instructions, so I'm glad to pick this up. And then, for some reason with them, Lufia the Legend Returns, a cool RPG. I'm not sure why this was reproduced with this. This game is about, I don't know, £40 with the case, with the box rather, and with the manual. I'm not sure why anyone would reproduce this game. Not that I'm not glad to have it, but I could have picked up a genuine version very easily. But it was essentially free. It came free with the other 2. So that was good. Good to have the game, good to be able to play them. And they are noted on my collection as reproductions. Another reproduction I did get, I don't want to make quite a habit of this, but when a game is particularly expensive and I do want to play it, this I would consider a slight step up from emulation. Mega Man: The Wily Wars, and as you can see instantly, this is not a Mega Drive case. This looks more like a VHS case. This is not the artwork. So again, I kind of deliberately picked up one that didn't look anything like the real thing. You know, this is not how a Mega Drive game is loaded. And when you look at the actual cartridge, this is not the artwork the cartridge should have. The screws at the back are just plastic, part of the plastic. They're just meant to look there. It's quite amusing, I think. But again, I wanted to play this game. I didn't want to pay the extremely high price to buy it. So there you go. That's Mega Man: The Wily Wars. It's a collection of the first 3 Mega Man games and an extra game that you can unlock once you do well. So for me, it would just be the first 3 games. Moving on, I picked up a couple of games for the Commodore. Well, admittedly, well, the first one is a Commodore 64 game, Creatures, on cassette. This has a really long, strange alternate title, which I can't remember. But there you go, it's a kind of cool, weird platformer. The other one I picked up, and this was marked as a Commodore 64 game, but when I received it, it is clearly a BBC micro game. Electron Invaders. It is a Space Invaders clone. It looked really neat, actually. but I currently have no way of playing this game, which is unfortunate because I do like Space Invaders clones. Moving on, for the Atari 2600, another space shooter, Phoenix. This game is really cool. You fight a varying wave of enemies until you eventually come across a kind of boss battle where you fight a spaceship. It's a really cool game. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed this. It was really nice to pick that up. Moving on, I got a couple of NES games from a local seller. He used to own a shop called Faceless Monkey, and now he has a market store which I visited, which is the same place I picked up Phoenix for the Atari. Solar Jetman, Hunt for the Golden Warship. This is in the box. No manual, unfortunately, but it is nice to have this game in a physical copy. I believe, and I might be wrong on this, but I think it was on the Rare Replay set. So if you wanted to get a very easy to attain version, the Xbox One Rare Replay set, I think, has this game amongst many other Rare titles. That's in the company Rare, not hard to achieve, but some of them are hard to get. Another game I got, and this is an American game, but because of using the Blinking Light Win and cutting the NES 10 chip, my NES can play import titles. This is Cybernoid the Fighting Machine. And I didn't know anything about this game except that there wasn't a PAL version as far as I could tell, so I picked it up. It's pretty cool. You can probably tell by the gameplay footage. It's quite interesting. The only problem I have is it was quite dirty and it needed a lot of cleaning, and the title still doesn't come up very clearly for some reason. Maybe it's because it is an import title playing on my machine, but there you go. It was nice to have that. And moving on, I got some Mega Drive games. It's what we call the Genesis over here. Aladdin! I got this from Faceless Monkey again in the box. Quite cool. The Mega Drive / Genesis version has the sword in it, whereas as far as I know, the SNES version doesn't, for the sake of violence. It's a nice game. I used to play it a lot on my Amiga, so it's pretty sweet to have a copy again. And then at a car boot sale, I picked up Cyborg Justice, which admittedly was a bit disappointed with this game. It's a bit slow. You kind of mostly fight enemies, at least the stages I got to, one-on-one. I was hoping for a kind of arcade-style two-player beat-em-up I could use on the Danger Zone, but I didn't really enjoy this game. I also picked up The Legend of Galahad, and this is in one of those weird Electronic Arts style cartridges, which if I show you a regular one, you can see the difference here. How strange they kind of, I don't know if I mentioned it before, Electronic Arts reverse engineered the cartridge so that they could make their own, so they didn't need a Sega to make them for them. And that's how they end up with these weird looking cartridges. So this game looks pretty interesting. It's a platformer again, and yeah, it looked pretty sweet. I can't wait to play a bit more of this. Graphics wise, it was cool. I enjoyed the look of it. Good to pick that one up. Moving on to the Super Nintendo. Again, from a car boot sale, I picked up Draken, which is a RPG style game in a kind of D&D style. That was pretty cool. Nice to have that. I also picked up from Faceless Monkey Equinox. This is a really cool game. I enjoyed this quite a bit. It's very cartoony style. From what I understand, this is actually a sequel to a game of a different title. Nevertheless, it was really cool and very surprisingly cool gameplay on this, so I will be playing a lot more of that later. That was really sweet. Moving on, we have a couple of Game Boy games. For the original Game Boy, I have Mystic Quest, which is called Final Fantasy Adventure in the US. Funnily enough, this is actually the first game on the Mana series, Secrets of Mana, etc. That's kind of cool. I'm really glad to pick that up, and I will be playing that whenever I can find the time to play those really, really long RPG games. Talking about cool RPG games, and I don't mean to say it takes a lot of time investment to play RPGs. That's kind of why I'm picking up a lot of shooters and space shooters and games like that. Although I did find 2 games I was really, really after. This was in Faceless Monkey actually, and as I was walking out I spotted a bunch of Game Boy Advance games. 2 titles that very much interested me appeared, and I got them for a very good price. Breath of Fire. This is a remake of the Super Nintendo game, I believe. Graphically upgraded, as it were. That's really cool, I can't wait to play that. And Metroid Zero Mission. And as I don't currently have a copy of the original Metroid, this will be great. This is again an upgraded version of the NES Metroid for Game Boy Advance, which is kind of Super Nintendo graphics. That's really cool to have that. Moving on. I have 1 game for the Sega Saturn. Still not able to find these very easily. I got Virtual Fighter 2 in a removable slipcase case. No, it's broken. I couldn't find many of these. I wanted to find a game to test out if my system was working. I'm not really a big fan of Virtual Fighter games. I think the graphics for this game wasn't particularly impressive at the time, as the PlayStation's was a bit better. So yeah, I'm not thrilled. I just got this to test out the console. Not a great plug for that game really, but I got it really cheap and I just wanted to test it out. But talking about the PlayStation, I picked up a copy of Soul Reaver, and this is really cool actually. I got this from Games World Bodmin. Games World Bodmin, I don't know what their tagline is. Buy games. This has a really cool reflective case on this. I'll give you a closer view on this. I didn't know it had that really. Yeah, I've played this game before. I don't know where my copy has gone. As with many games that I had, time passed, it simply disappeared. So I picked up another copy, and it's nice to get one that's nice and flashy like this. Moving on to the PlayStation 2. One of the very easy systems to pick up games for now, as they're all often very cheap to find. I got Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare. After having played through the 3DO titles, it would be nice to have a go at the PS2 version. That would be pretty sweet. Commandos 2, Men of Courage. Now I've played a lot of the Commandos games, the kind of top-down tactical games on the PC previously, so it's nice to have it on the PlayStation 2, because a lot of the old PC games are quite hard to make work properly on the current operating systems. This one I found in a chain store for very cheap. This is Chaos Legion. It looks kind of unusual. It looks like the kind of game I might play. I will certainly get into that at some point. It looks like one of the early release titles with the black case, that tells me, and it's by Capcom. So I have to assume that this will actually be kind of cool and kind of good. I don't know anything about it, never heard of it before, but it will be good to pick it up and play it. Tomb Raider, the Angel of Darkness. I picked this up at a car boot sale in a platinum version, and then I found it again in another car boot sale in the actual case for a sort of mini upgrade. I don't think I paid more than £1 each time. I do enjoy the Tomb Raider games. I particularly enjoy the modern ones, the kind of new ones, the reimaginings if you will, a lot more, because I found the original controls a bit clunky, but there you go, it's nice to have that. Myst Free Exile should contain a bonus strategy guide, but it does not. This is an FMV game, kind of similar to the dreaded 3DO full motion video style games. I picked this up because I was in a local shop and it was 2 for a certain amount, and I needed to get a second game. Pirates: The Legend of Black Cat. This was less than £1. The cover and the title looked kind of interesting, so that's why I picked that up whilst I was at a chain store that I speak of often but won't name. So there you go. SSX. I'm looking for a couple of these games. I've been looking for SSX Tricky for a while. Snowboarding games, they're really cool. Early PlayStation titles, similar to how sports games, you get 1 or 2 of them out every single year with minor upgrades. So there's a lot of these SSX games. Nevertheless, I do enjoy them a bit, so I picked it up. Siphoned Filter, the Omega strain. I have a strange feeling that at one point I bought this, played it, and didn't like it. I definitely really enjoy the early Siphon Filter games on the original PlayStation. I played them for quite a lot of time, but this one, I'm sure I had a PlayStation 2 Siphon Filter game at one point, but I don't own any currently, so I picked this up because it was very cheap in a local shop. And finally, for PlayStation 2, Time Splitters. Now, I have previously played, completed and owned this game before, but I have no idea where my copies got to. So I had to pick it up again, because it's really cool. I particularly enjoy the later Time Splitter games. When we get to Future Perfect, we had a lot of fun playing multiplayer back in the day on those on the PlayStation 2. Although they were also out for the Xbox, I believe. I'm talking about the Xbox for the OG Xbox. I picked up a couple of games. Manhunt. And I got this from a chain store, and I can't really show you because I tried to cover up best I can, but this is not an original case. I've covered it up very well, but this is a reproduction case, which I didn't know when I bought it because I didn't check very well, which I should have done. I'm certainly going to get a reputation with games like this. BMXXX. I actually picked this up as just an additional item with my Games World Bodmin order, and it was just really cheap. It's one off the list, so there you go. I'm going to get to this game in just a moment, but first I'll show you SSX on Tour. As I mentioned, I am a particular fan of the SSX games. When I first got my PS2, I had SSX Tricky, and I enjoyed it, or one of the SSX games. It might not necessarily have been Tricky, but that seems to be the one that comes to mind. I enjoyed it quite a bit. We played it on multiplayer, and I haven't been able to pick up a copy for quite a while. And I went to a car boot there, which is where I found SSX on Tour, and I also found SSX Tricky. Yay! It's not for the PS2, it's for the Xbox. I feel like the controls would be slightly easier on the PS2, but the graphics may be a little better on the Xbox. So there you go, finally I have a copy of this after previously buying a copy and having found that the disc was not inside for PS2. I finally have it on the Xbox. Moving on to the PlayStation Portable. This is a really great game. Or collection of games, as it were. Namco Museum Battle Collection. There are some really good games on this. It has a very good version of Galaga and Galaxian, as well as some really cool arcade ports on this from other spaceship games. I spent a lot of time playing this. This is well worth my money, the Namco Battle Collection, so I'm very happy to have this. Some of these ports on this I haven't seen in any other collection, actually. At least, I haven't found them, so that's really nice to have that. Untold Legends, The Warrior's Code. Again, this is just another D&D style RPG game where you run around hacking and slashing things a lot. It's not very deep, but it's good to wind away the hours. This sort of game doesn't really take the commitment a lot of the RPGs I play do. We're talking about games that do require time and commitment. I should move on to Valkyrie Profile Lenneth. This is a remake of the original with slightly upgraded graphics, I believe. Maybe a bit of dialogue changed. But yeah, we didn't get, I don't believe we got the original, or if we did, it's going to be some crazy amount of money on eBay. But yeah, I can finally play the first game in the Valkyrie Profile series. So yes, I will have to get onto that and spend some time doing it, because I do like the RPGs and this looks really cool, so I can't wait to get stuck into that. Now, for the Wii, I have Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, The Crystal Bearers. Yep, that's a very strange title, but there you go. It's another Final Fantasy series game. I picked this up from Faceless Monkey in Truro, the market store, or where he resides now is the market store or flea market. Yeah, good to pick this up. It was one I was looking for. It's one off my list. Sweet to have that. And next up, Knight's Journey of Dreams. Just because I still haven't picked up Nights into Dreams, I found the sequel on the Wii for a very minor sum. I don't believe I paid more than a couple of pounds for this. But yeah, I still don't have the Saturn game. Moving on, for the Xbox 360, I picked up a couple of titles in a car boot sale. I think I paid, for the Xbox original games like SSX, I think I paid £1 each for those, and for the 360 titles, I think I paid £2 each. It's very reasonable considering there was someone selling Xbox 360 games, and I mean real bad ones, bottom of the barrel, for about £8 each, two stores nearby. So I picked up Assassin's Creed. I have played none of the Assassin's Creed games, so naturally I picked up Assassin's Creed 2. I know, right? There's too many games, can't play them all. Another game I haven't played, Dragon Age 2 I picked up, £2. I know, it's supposed to be really good, I keep hearing it, but man, you know, I gotta find the time to play it. A game I have played and completed at one point is Fable. So I picked up Fable Anniversary Edition. This is a graphical remake of the game, and this particular one had a couple of bonus items included, but yeah, that's pretty cool. I can't remember anything about Fable. I don't have a great memory, I'll be perfectly honest, so most of it kind of slipped my mind, all of the Fable games combined into one. So I picked up Fable Anniversary to kind of replay it, but replay it differently, it'll have better graphics. I also picked up Fable 3. I have played and completed this game. It's another instance of, I don't know where my copy is. So yeah, I picked up another copy of Fable 3. There you go. And finally, gosh, I am going to pick up some sort of reputation here. Lollipop Chainsaw, Nordic Edition. And what was really cool about this is, I picked this up in a chain store. The Nordic edition of this kind of goes for a ridiculous sum online because of the DLC. It is sealed, and this didn't have the manual. I asked, could I have the manual? Do you have a copy of the manual? So they gave me another manual, which turned out to be the one that should have come with this because they had the manual, but it also had the game downloads. And when I used the download for the funk skin, I'll do a close-up, the rockabilly skin, the Ash skin, Evil Dead kind of skin, Jimmy skin, and the goth skin, the codes worked. Whoever had this game before they traded it into the shop that I bought it from didn't use these codes, so that was very unexpected and very cool. So now I have all of those sweet outfits to be killing zombies with a chainsaw with. Yay! Moving on. For the PlayStation 3, I picked up Doctor Who, The Eternity Clock. My expectations are not very high for this game, but I only paid £2 for it. It's a BBC-made game. I can see that the Doctor involved in it is Matt Smith. That's a shame. I would like them to make a new game with the what they call now the classic Doctors. But you know, there you go. I also picked up, this was from a chain again, Final Fantasy 13, and this was the limited collector's edition. Now I understand that there's probably a different special edition of this as well, and there's an Xbox edition. I would normally go for the Xbox edition, but this was available for me to physically pick up at the time. There's a cool little art book in here with some nice Nice little cool artwork. I'll have a little couple of close-ups for you to see that. Includes the soundtrack. And then there's a couple of little cards, which I'm not really sure what the point of these are. It appears that the why is Odin a horse? What? Or is it a... I haven't played it yet. I haven't played... I speak often that I haven't played many past 9. So there you go. That's Final Fantasy 13. Moving on. The last game I picked up. And I picked this up... well, I intended to pick this game up from Game.com, admittedly. I'm pre-ordering a couple of titles with Tomb Raider and the NES Classic. I intended to pick this up there, but it disappeared from Game.co.uk. So I picked up Life is Strange, the limited edition. It just popped up in the store that I was visiting, a chain store again. One that I frequently mention, but don't tell you the name. So, if I give you a little look at this, it includes, I believe, a soundtrack, and it also includes an art book, which looks really nice. It looks like a kind of a diary. I'll show you in a close-up. I should mention, part of the reason I'm picking this game up is someone told me this is their favourite game of all time. That tells me one of two things. One, they haven't played a lot of games, or two, this game is really good. So I thought it'd be worth a go. There's the soundtrack. Soundtrack is still sealed. I'll have to play the game before I decide if I want to even listen to the soundtrack. And that's it. So there you go. Those are my pickups for the month of September. What did you pick up this month? Maybe you could tell me. Maybe you could say something in the comments. But whatever you do, please like, subscribe, and check out all the other videos. I've been MVL. Thank you for watching.